Good evening, everybody. I'm calling to order the Greenfield City Council meeting. It is 6:32 p.m. Hey, everybody. It's summer, almost. And we already passed the budget. So it makes June a little bit easier. Thank you all for being here. This meeting is being recorded by the City Council and GCTV 9. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Greenfield Recorder in the house. Thank you. All right. So our first order of business is taking the roll call of members.
Councillor Golub?
Here.
Councillor Gordon?
Here.
Councillors Mastrotaro, Bottomley, Healy, and Toronto will not be in today. Councillor Bullock?
Present.
Councillor Perry?
Here.
Councillor Brown?
Here.
Vice President Garrett?
Here.
Councillor Minhas? Not here at this time. President Wondolowski?
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Next is our Pledge of Allegiance, which is voluntary. Can I ask a counselor to read page 5 motion?
Sure. The City Council moved that it be ordered that the City Council waive the rules of procedure, Section 565-8, order and disposition of business to allow the agenda items to be taken out of order. Majority vote required.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Fantastic. So I'm going to take out of order and move up to appoint our newest city councilor from Precinct 6. So that is, I'm looking way down and trying to find it on the agenda. Where are we? There it is. It's under 10 on page 26. Could I have Catherine read that, please?
Sure, just going to open the page. Order number fiscal year 250106. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council, pursuant to Charter Section 211, approves the appointment of Patricia Williams to fill the Precinct 6 City Council seat vacated by Sheila Gilmore until December 31st, 2025. 2/3 vote required. 9.
This one is a 9.
This is a 9, so we're going to wait and amend to the end of the night.
Counselor Minhas did text that he's not able to come tonight.
Oh, wait, sorry. Can,
Asking if we have unanimous consent of the council to place this item on the next regular meeting agenda.
Yeah.
Councilor Perry?
I want to vote. I thought that the charter says 2/3 vote of the councilors present.
Councilor Garrett?
I After we had, Councilor Perry rather, brought that up, I also looked up the section of the charter, and it does say 2/3 vote of the councilors present.
Can you cite which
Yeah, I
section
can read the
that
whole
is?
thing. So section 211, filling of vacancies. If a vacancy should occur in the office of precinct councilor within 90 days prior to the next annual city election, it shall remain vacant to the election. Otherwise, the council president, with the advice of the committee chairs, may fill the seat by appointing a person residing in that precinct for which a vacancy exists, subject to 2/3 vote of the councilors present to serve into the next annual city election, at which time a person shall be elected to fill the unexpired term. So that's section 211 in the city charter.
It's also in section 1-7 under majority vote, that it shall, the words majority vote shall mean a majority of those present and voting, provided that a quorum of the body is present when the vote is taken, unless a higher number is required by law.
Okay. So this is fine for this. All right, so I think we circumvented and didn't ask for the second, so can I get the second on this?
Second?
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Okay.
Oh, I have discussion. Oh, I just want,
Oh, wait, okay. Since we didn't do discussion really quickly, if anybody has any comments, let's take them now. Counselor Perry?
I'm just, for the public, Councilor Garrett just read the charter, and it says that the council president may and can. It doesn't say must, but it say may and can. And so we received one letter from Precinct 6, one letter. And that person came in and interviewed with the chairs committee, and there was no competition. So what do? Do we say, well, one's not enough, one's not good enough? Or do we say, you know, well, someone was interested, someone put in, and they deserve to serve? And now I've got a lot of, you know, if we leave the seat vacant, does that put us in trouble for the rest of the year? Because, you know, that's one less vote, one less representative, one less person on the committees that have to do some of the work behind the scenes. And so, to me, it's a no-brainer. Some people have asked me to vote no because they don't agree with the individual's politics, and they feel that if there's more competition, there would have been better say. But if I voted no based on my politics, then I'm being political. So I'm here to vote yes on this application.
Thank you, Counselor Perry. And this was unanimous in chairs. We had a good discussion, so we're very excited to have Patty join. And I think Patty, as I said in committee chairs, comes from a labor background, and so did Sheila. So it's a really good continuation of what Sheila was doing as that precinct. So if she was voted in, I believe that Patty would be, and she has to run again in like 2 months. So now we can do the oath. So welcome. All right, our next order of business is to approve the city council meeting minutes, which are on page 6. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Anyone abstain? Okay, motion passes. The schools are not able to be here tonight, so we're going next to communications from the mayor, city officers, and employee. So I think mayor's first.
Hello, everybody. I've only got a few things for tonight. I want to compliment our incredible economic development team and local housing partners for Greenfield winning the Housing Hero Award, and thank the people who came down that day. It was very, very nice of you, very much appreciated. It was wonderful to receive that, knowing that people around the state are recognizing us for our efforts in housing. I heard Pride was fantastic last week. I actually missed that because I had an family emergency, but Aaron marched along with, there were several counselors that were there, and I heard it was actually one of the most successful ever, so. We are monitoring the state and federal grants and how they're impacting us. We have bi-weekly meetings with the Attorney General's office for updates, where we learned that the federal grant system is putting new demands on grants and that Massachusetts is joining with other states to sue the federal government. So far, most of their lawsuits have been met with success, but it is a major battle right now. We will continue to update you on anything that we receive. Want to thank our state delegation for the earmarks that Greenfield received this week. I'm sure that you're aware of them, but just in case, we received a $25,000 earmark for vehicle maintenance or upgrades. There was one thing I was holding on to just in case we got that I didn't put forward for capital requests. And also, the schools are getting an earmark for $50,000, and having been at school committee, I have an idea of what they might be using that for. But thank you to them for their advocacy. They work very hard on behalf of the city. July 4th, the fireworks are coming up on Saturday, July 5th, with festivities starting at 4. And as always, thank Christy Moore and her incredible recreation department for their hard work. We are dependent on community donations, and fundraising continues. There's a trivia night. Is it Thursday? It's June 26th, next week, at the Elks Lodge. If any of you care to participate, we'll have a team there. And no promises that our team will win, although I've heard Erin and John are very good. I'm terrible at that. I'll just also lastly want to make sure that we are all thanking DPW, Recreation, and Central Maintenance for their hard work and dedication getting all the parks ready. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and we have so much to be grateful for. So they just go above and beyond, and I think all of us really couldn't thank them enough for the work that they did prepping all of those. So that's it. I will take any questions, and I know there was one new thing on the agenda. If anybody had a question for me about that, I'm happy to answer it.
Councilor Gordon.
Thank you so much for the updates, Mayor. And I hope that your family emergency was resolved okay. Just had a question about federal grants and federal funding in general. I think we had talked before budget season, or I had maybe asked Director Numberkow about getting a complete list of all of the federal money coming into Greenfield, including the money that's coming through the state, because I think that there's a lot of federal money that communities and states receive, or communities receive, that comes through the state, and people don't necessarily realize that it's actually federal in origin. And then we kind of put that aside during budget season because everything else was so busy. But does a list like that exist, and could it be shared with council?
It does exist. I know that Amy Cahalan was putting all of that together, and we could, will you write that down, that we should, you want us to send that to council? Yes?
That'd be wonderful.
Absolutely, we can do that.
Counselor Garrett?
Just looking at some of the items that you brought to us regarding the summer fund in particular, I know that in the past, we've talked about programming in Court Square, various summer events. Is there anything planned for that space? Yeah, and if there isn't, is there any moves we could do to get some more stuff happening there? Like, there have been events in the past, and they've been really successful, so more of that would be great.
Okay. There are some things that happen with recreation. I don't know what all of the plans are. There may be there's a business, Hawks and Reed, that had 4 concerts last year there as well. And I'm sure that Amy's reaching out to them again to see if that's going to happen, but certainly we'll pass that along.
Mayor, could you just explain to the council why we got the Heroes Award? Because I think there was a great partnership on that, and it'd be good for the rest of the council to hear about it.
So it was, yes, I mean, Susan Morgaftik's here from our, she's been working so hard behind the scenes and was there as we received the award. She's now the city's representative to the Housing Authority that was appointed by the governor. And she's been a dogged housing advocate, along with our Economic Development Committee. And it's multifaceted. Many of the things that are downtown, I think they were particularly impressed with our, what we did with the warming center, holding that spot, the parking lot that will be reutilized, all of the zoning changes that Councilor Vice President Garrett so thoughtfully, put forward that make it's so much easier to put the housing right on top of each other. So there were many zoning changes. They were celebrated as well. So I think there was faceted efforts that got us to the finish line with that, and that was very helpful. It showed that we were thinking about housing and what was the best way to do it.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions? Oh, Councilor Bullock.
Yeah, there was a stat that said 800 new units, or maybe it was 600, forgive me, I haven't read it in a week, but do you know how that was calculated? Because when I added up the actual projects I know about, it wasn't that many.
I actually thought that myself when I was listening to it, and so no, I don't.
Okay.
Because the ones that I knew of didn't really add up to the number that we were getting credit for, but I thought I was sitting there in the audience, and I thought, although I frequently correct people's math, I didn't feel like that was the time for it.
Thank you so much. I also just want to mention the state has a website that has a calculator of all of the losses in federal funding that cities and towns and nonprofits can add to, so you can see the full burden. And I don't know the URL off the top of my head. Yeah. All right. Next up, as part of our regularly inviting different departments to come and speak to us, we've got the local cultural council chair, Tim Fisk, to talk to us about all they're doing with the cultural district. So thank you, Tim, for being here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, councilors, for inviting us. And this is my first city. And learn how to work the microphone.
And Tim, we're going to give you roughly 5 minutes, and then councilors will ask questions, so you know.
Wonderful. So just to review, in the 2025 grant cycle, which was awarded in December, we awarded $22,973 to 40 applicants. which is different than what we had done in previous years, where we were trying to take that same amount of money and spread it over all applicants, so like 80 organizations, and we weren't able to fully fund any of them. This cycle, we were able to fully fund every single applicant that we did. And it was informed by a public survey that we put out in the summer of 2024 to the public about certain priorities. The local cultural council is able to actually implement local priorities, which we hadn't done in the past, and so we did this time. And those included things like the art must take place in the city of Greenfield or in a neighboring community, the types of actual events that would be prioritized, live performances and festivals, social justice and cultural diversity events, and public art. And then also a section where we promoted diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in the community by prioritizing applications that were speaking to the experience of or created by historically disenfranchised communities. So that was all part of the new local priorities that we implemented for the 2025 cycle. In 2026, what we have planned is to hold a grant-making workshop, which we haven't done in a while. But now that we have these local priorities, we really want to give all applicants an opportunity to understand them, ask questions, so that they're coming in with the strongest applications as possible. We're hoping to do that hybrid, getting closer to the grant announcement, which usually happens around September 1st. So we'll hope to do that probably by the end of the summer or shortly after we announce the grants. And then looking forward, what we really would like to do is identify some re-granting organizations so that we can bolster the money that we get from the state and maybe get to more than 40 organizations in future. So we have the ability to do that. We have the ability to apply for grant funding, and there are lots of organizations out there that give to cultural councils to re-grant money. So it would be really nice if we could, find more, because 80 applicants really demonstrates a need in the community, and we want to be able to meet that need. I do know that there are a couple of ordinances that haven't been voted on yet. One is to decrease the number of council members from 9 to 7, from 9 members to 7 members, and I just want to go on the record to say I support that. We currently have 4, so we're looking for either 3 or 5 at this point. And then also to have a cultural council member sit on the Crossroads Cultural District Committee, which I also support.
Councilor Golub.
I just want to thank you for your work. It's exciting to hear about positive things happening in the community and the priorities that you've set. And just to piggyback on that, so that counselors who are not an A&O are aware that there will be 2 ordinances, and so that the community is aware as well that there are 2 ordinances that will be coming for a public hearing at A&O next month, and then we'll probably be on the council agenda for next month, and those are to make those changes to both the local cultural council, which you represent, and the Crossroads Cultural District. Yeah, so it's great to hear that you support those changes.
Wonderful.
Thank you for letting us know
Yes.
that.
Tim, could I just ask a really basic question? If you could just do a quick overview of what is the purview of the council, and then where is the Crossroads District for those of us who are not familiar?
So the local cultural councils in Massachusetts are funded by the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and they receive funds based on population size, and that allocation happens, and it's different every year. And so we receive those funds from the Mass Cultural Council. There are a set of guidelines for us to administrate grants to individuals and to organizations, but as I said, we can create some of our own local priorities. Our goal is to basically give out money. That's really what we're trying to do. We do have the capability of keeping 5% of those funds to do administrative things. So if we did have a big idea and we wanted to take something like the public survey to a different level, or we wanted to do some more digital outreach, then we could actually allocate some of those funds. But historically, we've taken 100% of the funds and giving them out as grants.
Any other questions? Councilor Garrett, and then Councilor Golub.
This is a really basic question, but I look around town and I see some lovely public art coming up. I don't know if you folks are involved or not in individual projects. Is there a way to tell, like, oh, we should be giving, the Cultural Commission credit for this?
So on the website, there is a list of grantees, but that doesn't necessarily speak to the art itself. Like, you might not know because it just has the name of the organization, doesn't describe the project. I think you bring up a really great point, and perhaps it would be interesting and also celebrate some of the work that's happening in town if we put out some sort of annual report that not only just listed the grants and the amounts, but like talked a little bit about the organizations and the artists and culture makers themselves. And it would really set us up also to find other funding somewhere else. We probably have to do that anyway. So that's a great suggestion.
Just to follow up to Councilor Wondolowski's question, would you be willing to speak to the Crossroads Cultural District Committee and the distinction between your committee and that? And if not, that's okay.
I'll tell you what I know, and that is
Yeah.
just that it's a different pool of funds coming from the state with a different set of priorities. And there are Crossroads cultural districts that are designated in Massachusetts that receive this specific funding. So because we're both working kind of in the same ecosystem, we thought we'd want to have some sort of synergy between the two. Though I think that they should work independently from each other because one is about the geographic area of downtown mostly. And then, of course, the Cultural Council, we have a broad reach. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
All right,
We
thank you,
really
everyone.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Good job. Really appreciate it.
Okay, so we don't have any other questions or any other city employees at this time. The other ones who are here are for when we get to votes, so they can answer questions about specific things. So I'm going to open up the public comment period right now, and it is 6:59, and it's just as a reminder, everybody has 3 minutes, and when you come up, you can state your name and your address for the record. And then you have to push the button for the green light to come on. And the sheets
Council
are
President.
blank, so I don't,
I'm seeing on the agenda to hear from Liam for the Franklin Land Trust. Is that good?
that's
enough
when we
later?
get to
Okay.
that vote. Yeah. We just didn't know how to get it on the agenda in the right place, so it's not a. So if anybody is in Zoom and wants to be on comment, make a comment, just put it in the chat to be recognized. It is 7 PM and I'm closing public comments. Is that a record? Okay, that's going to be in the paper, right? No comments. Okay, thank you all. All right, so we're going to move to public hearing and second reading. And so the first item is all around the community preservation budget. And I believe that Councilor Perry was going to read our second readings. Was I right?
By default.
By honor. You're honored to do it.
So the public hearing, in accordance with the Home Rules Charter, the Greenfield City Council will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 18th at 6:30 at the John Zahn Community Center, 35 Pleasant Street, and on Zoom, meeting to discuss the FY 2026 Community Preservation Budget. Appropriate $276,000 for the FY 26 operations of the Community Preservation Committee. Appropriate $7,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Public Library for the local history room collection. Appropriate $8,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for Conway Street additional units. Appropriate $15,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Pioneer Valley Habitat for Humanity for the Birch Street project. Appropriate $15,000 from the Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for the Security Deposit and Rental Assistance Fund. Appropriate $17,178 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Franklin County Agricultural Society for Phase 2 preservation of Greenfield's agricultural history at the fairgrounds. Appropriate $18,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for Winslow preservation. Appropriate $32,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Recreation Department for Hillside Park STEM installation. Appropriate $45,984 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Connecticut River Conservatory for Franklin First County Courthouse Rehabilitation Project Phases 1 and 2. Do I have to read that next part? The City Council may consider the same on Wednesday, June 18th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. at John Zahn Community Center, 35 Pleasant Street, and Zoom. Materials can be obtained from the City Clerk's Office, 14 Court Square, from 8:30 to 5 o'clock, Monday through Friday, or phone 413-772-1555, extension 163. Laura Wondolowski, Greenfield City Council President.
We're opening the public hearing at 7:03, and at this time, we don't have anybody signed up for comments. If anybody is online and would like to be part of the public hearing, put it in chat, please. And at 7:03, we're closing the public hearing. Nope. Oh, sorry. Would you have to read the second reading?
Oh, it's the same thing. Okay, let me scroll back. My apologies. City Council, second reading, June 18th, 2025. FY 2026 Community Preservation Budget. Appropriate $276,000 for the FY 26 operations of the Community Preservation Committee. Appropriate $7,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Public Library for the local History Room collection. Appropriate $8,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for Conway Street additional units. Appropriate $15,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Pioneer Valley Habitat for Humanity for the Birch Street project. Appropriate $15,000, sorry, the thing skipped, hold on. Sorry, appropriate $15,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for the Security Deposit and Rental Assistance Fund. Appropriate $17,178 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Franklin County Agricultural Society for Phase 2 preservation of Greenfield's agricultural history at the fairgrounds. Appropriate $18,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for the Winslow preservation. Appropriate $32,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Recreation Department for the Hillside Park STEM installation. Appropriate $45,984 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Connecticut River Conservatory for the Franklin First County Courthouse Rehabilitation Project, Phase 1 and 2.
$7:06, and we're closing the second reading. Thank you so much. All right, our first order of business is the conservation restriction from Princey Stotts, and I don't remember which committee this went to. I said majority. That's okay. So could I have a motion? I don't remember which committee, so. It was
I
not
think
going
it was going to go to the Economic Development Subcommittee, but the meeting was canceled.
Counselor Bullock, would you feel comfortable reading it for us?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Let me just get, it was out of order, I think, in the packet.
That's on page 30, if that helps.
Yes. Order number FY 25-104, the city council move that it be ordered that the city council approve the conservation restriction to Francis K. Princey Stotts individually and as trustee of the Douglas G. Stotts and Francis K. Stotts Living Trust, care of Douglas G. Stotts, 54 Factory Hollow Road, Greenfield, Mass. 01301, pursuant to Section 32 of Chapter 184 of the General Laws of Massachusetts on a parcel of land currently owned by Francis K. Princey Stotts individually and as trustee of the Douglas G. Stotts and Francis K. Stotts Living Trust to be transferred to Franklin County, Massachusetts, constituting approximately 25 acres as described in Exhibit A. Description of the premises and Exhibit B, reduced copy of plan of premises, and further authorize the city council president to sign on behalf of the city council. This says majority vote required, so.
Do we have a second? Okay. And now I'll open it up for discussion, and we also have Liam here from the Franklin Land Trust to answer any questions.
Two things, just one, I think Councilor Bullock, you skipped a line, and I don't know if that needs to be read in order for it to be entered accurately, where it says to be transferred to the Franklin Land Trust, Inc., and partially located in the city of Greenfield, Franklin County, Massachusetts. Does that matter? I just want to make sure that it's entered
Do you
accurately.
want me to reread that section? Okay. To be transferred to Franklin County, no, it's one above it, sorry. It's all caps, it's so hard. And it's all a run-on sentence, so there's not even a beginning. To be transferred to Franklin Land Trust, Inc., and partially located in the city of Greenfield, Franklin County, Massachusetts, constituting approximately 25 acres as described in Exhibit A.
Okay, Councilor Golub.
And then the second thing is that at committee chairs, I had committed to reaching out to David Brule from the Nolan Beacon Project, and I received a response, and he said that I knew that there was an interest in battlefield preservation there, and he says that as far as the potential conservation restricted on the Factory Hollow Lane, I think that is land. I think that is likely a good move that I do not that I do not think would impact on any future plans for battlefield preservation. So,
Yeah, so one of the values in the conservation restriction discussed is historic and archaeological resources, and archaeological investigations will still be allowed under the CR, so that could all still happen.
Any other questions, councilors? Councilor Garrett?
I was the one at committee chairs who was very interested in the battlefield designation. So I'd be curious if you know anything about how that's going. I know this is not your project, but if it's on land that might be potentially preserved by you guys, I don't know if you know anything about the progress on that.
I don't know much about the progress at all, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That's cool. I'm thrilled this is happening. More, you know.
I'm just going to,
I'm sorry, Councilor Perry, and then I'll have Councilor Gordon.
oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. I just, when this first came across, I was just very excited to read it. You know, all that it entails, and that piece of property is very exciting because it is historic, it is beautiful, and has so much history to it and means so much to people generationally that it's exciting to see this happening.
Thanks, yeah. We're really excited about it, too.
Yeah, so I know that actually the majority of acreage of this site is in Gill, right? And I'm just curious, like, assuming that we pass this and the Gill Select Board passes this, is there any other kind of coordination that needs to happen between the communities in the sort of ongoing administration of this, or is that just up to the Franklin Land Trust once the
So it's
communities
really,
approve
the
it?
approvals is what the municipalities need to provide. And then from there, Franklin Land Trust will continue to monitor and, if necessary, enforce the terms of the restriction, which we don't want to do, but sometimes it needs to happen, yeah.
Do you anticipate any public access or trails, or I'm not sure what the intended use of the property is going to be?
Well, so the property will continue to be owned by the Stotts family, and they have retained their right to keep it private. So it's going to be really their decision in the end of the day, and we're fine whichever way they choose to go. There are a significant amount of mountain bike trails, especially on the Gill side, and Mark Stotts, who lives with his mother Princey, is a cyclist and has hosted a cyclocross race there in years past, so that may continue to happen. As far as regular access, that would be something that the family would need to decide for themselves. And I think right now it's more of a matter of asking permission.
Great, thank you. All right, I think if there's no other questions, I think we're ready to vote. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here to answer questions.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that right now we don't have the final approval from the state to have you all sign yet. So I just wanted to be clear about that. So we're getting close to that, and I could be in touch with you and provide that final draft if that sounds good, and then it could be discussed at a future meeting. Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have mayor's appointments and reappointments. Counselor Golub for that motion.
Order number fiscal year 250105. The City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council pursuant to Charter Section 210 affirms the following appointments and reappointments by the mayor. Cable Advisory Committee, Andrew Curran, term to expire December 31st, 2028. Council on Aging, Margaret Saulnier, term to expire December 31st, 2028. Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee, Nancy Hazard, term to expire December 31st, 2028. Majority vote required.
Second.
And this received a positive unanimous recommendation. With gratitude.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. I don't see any abstentions or opposed, so the motion carries. Next up is the fee schedule from the clerk's office, and I'm actually going to ask Counselor Brown from Ways and Means to give a break to Counselor Perry, if you're able to get to page 66. Thank you.
The City Council moved that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council, in accordance with Mass General Law 40, Section 22F, votes to approve the fee schedule attached as Exhibit A as submitted by the city clerk. This fee schedule shall become effective as listed on Exhibit.
Do we have a second? Thank you. And I know Ways and Means didn't meet. We did talk about this at committee chairs, and I'm not sure if you want to speak to it or if Kathy mentioned anything before vacation.
There's not much to say about this, but this is the first time the clerk's office has increased their fees since 2013. And with the price of basically everything going up, we are just requesting to update our prices to more modern standards.
Seems fair, and they're not crazy amounts going up, from what I can see. Any other questions or comments from council? I think we can move to a vote. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, no abstentions or noes. Motion carries. Okay, adoption of Mass General Law, Chapter 44. Could I ask Counselor Garrett, because this came through committee chairs.
Order number FY 25107, that the City Council move that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council accepts Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Municipal Finance, Section 32, Submission of City Budget to City Council, procedure for approval, rejection or alteration, attached as Exhibit A, majority vote required.
Do I have a second? Counselor Golub?
Yeah, I would like this actually to go to A&O. There's been so many different contradictory legal opinions on this that I think that we're not even yet sure if we need to vote on this. And I know that Kathy brought this forward, and she's not here tonight to answer questions, that there's several counselors that aren't here tonight. I know we've specifically had have had requests from counselors who aren't here tonight to give them more time to ask questions about this and really look at all the different opinions, and there doesn't seem to be any rush to do this. So I would like to table this and have this sent to A&O. So with that rationale, I'm going to make a motion to table.
Second.
Can we do a roll call on the motion to table? Thank you.
Counselor Golub,
Yes.
Counselor Gordon,
Yes.
Counselor Bullock. Yes. Counselor Williams,
Abstain.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Brown,
Yes.
Vice President Garrett,
Yep.
President Wondolowski.
Yes and yes.
The motion fails. You do not have a majority of the counselors here voting yes. You need 7 for the majority to vote to table. You have 1 abstention. Right, so you had 6 positive.
No, there's 7 positive.
I'm totally lying to you guys, so I do apologize. I apparently need to go back to remedial math. The motion passes.
All right. Next on the agenda is approving an MOU between the city and the sheriff's office. This was added to the agenda late, and there was some urgency on it. The mayor is here to answer any questions should those come up on the MOU. Who is willing to read this from page 95?
We can read it. I have a question too. FY 25-108, the City Council moved that it be ordered that the City Council moves to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Greenfield and the Franklin County Sheriff's Office to join the Regional Animal Control Services Program.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? Counselor Bullock.
My only question is, so this takes like a city employee off our rolls and then puts it under a regional jurisdiction. Is there like an increased cost, or is the cost to the city the same?
Mayor, do you want to come up? Thank you.
Or is it less because we're now sharing, sharing?
That's what we're hoping for, right?
That would be great, yeah.
This is what I was hinting that you might have had a question on, because it's new. It's less. And I think it's like $7,000 or $8,000 left. Don't have that right in front of me. But This is something, we had 3 cities, 3 towns that were doing this, Montague, Deerfield, and us. They had pulled out and gone to the, sheriff for animal control. And then we were, talking with our new sheriff to see if the sheriff's office could take this on. And we just got a memorandum of understanding from them on Thursday. I just want to, understand why it came to you, but the whole thing is supposed to be starting July 1. When I sent it to the attorney, he said, you have to get the approval of city council. And I'm like, okay, everything was all, I's were dotted, T's were crossed. It is $7,000 to $8,000 less than the full cost. 7,000 plus fringe. And, we've been working with the unions, et cetera, so.
Awesome. And the other question I have is, does it mean we have the same amount of coverage, or
Yeah.
does it increase or decrease coverage at all?
It's supposed to be the same coverage.
Perfect, great.
I have a question.
Counselor Williams?
Could you tell me how this affects the present animal control officer that we have now in Greenfield?
Right, so we were in touch with, we've been in touch with the current animal control officer. So he will not be doing the same, he won't be doing this job, but he has another full-time job. I don't know how, I'm not going to say much more about the individual person and their things, but that person was okay with this.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
Counselor Golub?
I'm trying to see if I have a question here. I don't know that I do. I'm just, I'm grateful that that we have the clarity that this is happening as we work on the animals ordinance. And I do see a piece on dog bites here. That's something we're looking at as we review the ordinances. So just that folks are aware, we talked about this at the last A&O meeting, so it's helpful to know that this piece is in place now.
So we've had a long time sharing of services between the 3 towns, and then you have to look at something different when the other 2 are pulling out. So that was the impetus for this happening.
I don't see any other questions, so we can move to a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. I'm seeing no opposed or abstentions. Motion carries. And now to the community preservation budget. You ready, Councilor Perry?
Yes.
Fantastic. And we also have Susan here in case any questions come up. So thank you for being here.
So it's order number FY 25-094. The City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, to appropriate the sum of $276,000 for the FY 26 Community Preservation Committee budget. Move that it be ordered that the sum of $276,000 be appropriated for the FY 26 operations of the Community Preservation Committee. Majority vote required.
Any questions? All in favor? Oh, Councilor Garrett?
Sorry to take time.
What?
Why is the Connecticut River Conservatory involved with the courthouse?
The Connecticut River Conservancy is the occupant of that courthouse, okay? And they are doing a massive redevelopment of that courthouse, so that, and this is just for one small section of it, and areas that right now they do not have funding for. So it will be the windows that are in the back, there's some masonry work that will be done, and that will both make it safer and will also preserve it, and will allow that there be a a community room accessible to the entire community for meetings as well.
Awesome. That's a lot of courthouses for one town. That's 3 of them.
Counselor Gordon?
That was what I was going to clarify in case anyone listening to this is confused, that this is not the current, what people think of as the current courthouse, but this is the
This is
building
the
on
old-
Federal
This is
Street.
the old, this is
Right.
the old courthouse that was there before the city hall became the courthouse, before then the courthouse
Yep.
that's now there is the courthouse, yes.
At least they all have the same name.
It's interesting, yes.
Any other questions about this one?
I'd like to just add some information that you may not have yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
the,
And feel free to
um,
talk
the-
about all of them if you
The
want.
the preservation of the Winslow, that's going to deal with the cornice and a couple of other small things. I am pleased to say that as a member of the GHA board, I can announce, and has been announced by the state, that for the full preservation of and rehab of that building, we have been awarded $5.7 million to be able to develop that, to put in a new elevator, where right now the elevator is being held together with sealing wax and gum, and to the point where we've actually had to relocate people while we get it fixed because we can't, because it's not usable for those folks who absolutely need it. So this will be a major rehab, and we're very excited about it, and we just received notification this week.
So all in favor of this motion, say aye, please. Aye. I don't see any abstentions or opposed, so we'll go to the next motion. And Susan, we'll just keep you, yeah, we're just going to do each one.
That's fine. I didn't know if it was for the whole thing or for one. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think because of rules, we will ask you questions about each one instead of
Absolutely fine.
blowing up the system.
Absolutely fine. Yeah, you know, what else have I got to do?
Order number FY 25095, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to appropriate $7,000 for Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Public Library for the local history room collection. Be ordered that the City Council approve the appropriation of $7,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Community Public Library for the local history room collection. Majority vote required.
Do I have a second? There. Any questions? I didn't know there was a local history room.
There is, it's on the second floor.
Thank you. So we
It's really
should all do-
fascinating. I
we sh-
highly recommend the local history room at the library. It's fascinating.
Okay.
It's great.
I think-
And this funding will allow for the repair of some of the documents there and also to make them available to the public at large, because right now they're in pretty bad shape and are not really usable.
Excellent. Does our history teacher want to ask any questions?
I didn't have any questions, but I can make one up. Are there any good maps in there?
I don't know, I have not seen all the specifics of this particular collection, but there are some good maps in there, I know, other than this collection, so.
Okay. Sweet.
All right. We'll go to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. We'll go to the next one.
Order number FY 25096, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to appropriate $8,000 for Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for Conway Street additional units. Move that it be ordered that the City Council approve the appropriation of $8,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for Conway Street additional units. Majority vote required.
Discussion, comments? Counselor Gordon?
I actually would love to hear a little bit about what this is, because obviously, unless it's like a shoebox, we're not building any
Right.
whole units for $8,000, so I'm
Right.
curious what it's
No,
paying
this
for.
is for pre-construction work. We, There's an island, if you know Conway Street and Elm Street, there's an island there in the middle, and that's where the housing will be. There'll be 5 units, one of which, because it's all ledge there, we had originally hoped to build 5 totally accessible units, and the ledge will not let us do that, but we will have 1 fully accessible unit, and we will also have 4 more that will be kind of upstairs, downstairs, 2-bedroom units that will be available. All will be affordable and available. And we're hoping to do it prefab, so if we can do it prefab, then it'll be there a lot faster than if we have to do it stick-built.
Thank you, that's really exciting.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Order number FY 25097, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to appropriate $15,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Pioneer Valley Habitat for Humanity for the Birch Street project. Move that it be ordered that the City Council approve the appropriation of $15,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Pioneer Valley Habitat for Humanity for the Birch Street project. Majority vote required.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Order number FY 25098, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to appropriate $15,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for the Security Deposit and Rental Assistance Fund. Move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $15,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for the Security Deposit and Rental Assistance Program. Majority vote required.
Discussion or questions?
This is just a great one.
I'm sorry.
This is just a great one. Thank you for doing this one. This will really help some people who are in need.
For those who don't know, what this is for is Section 8 and Mass MRVP, Mass Residential Voucher Program people, when they go out to look for apartments in the private market, often there are 4 or 5 people that are there all looking at the same apartment. And if they get approval from the landlord, they often have to have a very quick turnaround to give them security deposit or last month's rent, and they often don't have that. So this fund will allow people to have those funds really quickly. There are other sources that we can use, but they don't turn around really quickly, and this would allow us to do that so they don't lose the apartment. That's what this is for.
Counselor Garrett.
I think this is excellent. And I had a question about a kind of similar program that we created last year, the Elderly and Disabled Tax Fund. Is that also, would that be eligible for having CPA funding assigned to it? Because I know there's a lot of restrictions on what you can and cannot.
It likely, one of the things that we need to look at is what's requested. And then if we've got any questions, we have a statewide coalition that helps us figure out whether we can do it. But it's likely that it will be acceptable.
Okay, well, thank you.
No pressure if there isn't an answer to this, but I just imagine that $15,000 is an amount that could be used up pretty quickly. Is there any planned or ideas around replenishing this fund?
GHA has said they probably will come back for the funding. This isn't a revolving fund, so we're not expecting that the tenants will pay us back on this. But especially this year, considering what's happening with Section 8, we may not have the opportunity to use it very much at all. So we're hoping that it will be, it's not a lot of money, but the GHA felt like this was an appropriate amount to request, so I'm going to go with them on this.
Seeing no other comments, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries.
Order number FY 25099, the City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to appropriate $17,178 from the Community Preservation Act funding to the Franklin County Agricultural Society for Phase 2 preservation of Greenfield's agricultural history at the fairgrounds. Move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $17,178 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Franklin County Agricultural Society for Phase 2 preservation of Greenfield's agricultural history at the fairgrounds. Majority vote required.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Order number FY 25100. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor, in order to appropriate $18,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for the Winslow preservation. Move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $18,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Housing Authority for Winslow preservation. Majority vote required.
Any discussion or questions? I just have a quick, I can't remember which building is the Winslow.
Winslow is on the corner of Wells and Main. This is the building I was talking about that needed the cornice work done and some other work done, and also that we've gotten the major state funding for. It's, just so you know, it's 55 apartments, small apartments, basically single-room occupancy apartments. And we're hoping that we can build 2 more that will be fully accessible as part of this project. And all of these are 60% of area median income or less. So these are among our lowest income folks in town.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, the motion passes. And I think this is next, our last one.
Order number FY 25101. The City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to appropriate $32,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Recreation Department for Hillside Park STEM installation. Move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $32,000 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Greenfield Recreation Department for Hillside Park STEM installation. Majority vote required.
Any questions, discussion? Counselor Williams?
Could you explain what STEM means? This is a wall that will be kind of an activity wall that will be used for kids to study math, science, as part of their, as part of just doing the activities that they're going to be doing. And so it's part of the effort to make Hillside Park much more appropriate and helpful to the population that's in that particular part of that neighborhood. Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. We do have one more. It wasn't tagged. Sorry.
Order number FY 25102. The City Council, upon recommendation of the mayor, in order to appropriate $45,984 from Community Preservation Act funding to the Connecticut River Conservatory for Franklin First County Courthouse Rehabilitation Project Phases 1 and 2. Move that it be ordered that the City Council approves the appropriation of $45,984 from the Community Preservation Act funding to the Connecticut River Conservatory for the Franklin First County Courthouse Rehabilitation Project Phase 1 and 2. Majority vote required.
I'm wondering if this should read conservancy instead of
Should read
conservatory.
conservancy. It should read conservancy.
Can we add that amendment so that? Okay. All right, any questions about the fish ladders that are going into the courthouse? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Susan. You're welcome. And thank you for all the hard work of the committee. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you. We appreciate your support.
I just want to also comment that a lot of the CPA is being used towards housing, and I know that has been one of our priorities, so it's good to see that coming. I think it's important to have the mixture between historic, recreation, and conservation, as well as housing, so this feels like a really good mixture of projects this year. So thank you. So, going down the rest of the agenda, we don't have report of the committees, unfinished business. Anybody have old business? Do we have any presentation of petitions or papers? The only new business I have is the reappointment of Wisty Rohrabacher for the council's appointee to the Community Preservation Committee, so you'll get Wisty back. Fantastic. Any motions for reconsideration? Anybody having second thoughts? Don't. It's kind of early. I don't know if we should adjourn, you guys.
Motion
Like-
to adjourn.
Oh, dang it. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Quickest council meeting ever.
This is fun.
Congratulations.